A swirling vortex of fire and shadows erupted in the middle of an ancient battlefield. In the chaos, a lone figure stood with crimson eyes glowing in the dark. His power was unparalleled, but in that moment, it wasn't victory he sought, it was peace. Yet, the curse of his existence wouldn't allow it. He was a being feared by all, a demon whose name sent shivers through kingdoms. For years, he had been known only as an archdemon, a creature of immense power, bound to the will of chaos. But deep within, his soul yearned for something he couldn't define. What good was overwhelming strength if it brought nothing but solitude? Every time he gazed into the mirror, he saw a void staring back at him. What was the point of his life? To destroy? To conquer? Or was there a greater purpose, hidden beneath the layers of fear that surrounded him? One day, while wandering through a cursed forest, he heard a soft cry carried by the wind. It wasn't a scream of terror, nor the wail of a monster. It was the sound of desperation. Curiosity drew him to the source. There, among the gnarled trees, lay a young elf, bound in chains and surrounded by bandits. Her emerald eyes glistened with fear but held a spark of defiance. Something within him stirred. It wasn't pity. It was something deeper, something he hadn't felt in centuries. Without a word, he raised his hand, and with a flicker of his power, the bandits fell, their weapons turning to ash. She didn't thank him, nor did she run. Instead, she looked at him with wary eyes, as though she were deciding whether he was her savior or her next captor. The archdemon spoke, his voice low and deliberate. "Why didn't you run?" he asked. The elf tilted her head, her silver hair catching the moonlight. "And where would I go?" she replied. Her words cut deeper than any sword. He could feel her pain, a reflection of his own. He decided to free her, but not just from her chains. He offered her a choice: stay with him and find safety, or leave and risk the world's dangers. To his surprise, she chose to stay. Days turned into weeks, and an uneasy companionship formed between them. She was quiet, but observant, and he found himself drawn to her calm resilience. For the first time in ages, he felt something other than emptiness. As their journey continued, the elf began to open up about her life. She spoke of a village destroyed, of friends and family lost, and of the betrayal that had led to her capture. Each story was a shard of glass piercing through her stoic demeanor, yet she never cried. The archdemon listened, his heart heavy with a burden he couldn't articulate. How many lives had he destroyed in his own past? How many tears had been shed because of his power? Could he ever atone for the destruction he had caused, or was his redemption a fool's dream? One night, under the vast expanse of stars, she asked him a question that caught him off guard. "What's your name?" He hesitated. For centuries, he had been called many things: beast, demon, monster. A name seemed irrelevant to a creature like him. But she waited patiently, her eyes unwavering. Finally, he whispered a name he hadn't spoken in eons. Hearing it aloud felt strange, almost foreign, but in that moment he realized something. He turned to look at her and everything went black. She ghosted. It took mere moments for him to come up with a solution, but in that moment he realized something. He'd been stuck keeping secrets. As their bond deepened, so did the dangers they faced. The elf's captors had not forgotten her, and they were determined to reclaim what they had lost. Armies of bounty hunters and mercenaries pursued them, but the archdemon stood firm, his power an unyielding shield. In the midst of one such battle, the elf was injured, a thin line of blood tracing down her arm. Panic surged within him, not for the battle, but for her safety. In that moment, he made a promise, a vow to protect her, no matter the cost. It wasn't just about survival anymore. For the first time in his life, he had something worth fighting for. As they traveled together, a question loomed over their journey. Could someone as feared and destructive as him ever find redemption? And if love was the answer, was he even capable of it? Their journey led them to a forgotten city, a place steeped in magic and history. There, they uncovered secrets about the elf lineage and the reason for her capture. She wasn't just any elf, she was the last of an ancient bloodline, one with the power to heal or destroy. The revelation shook her to her core. Suddenly, her quiet life in the shadows was replaced by a destiny she couldn't escape. But the archdemon stood by her side, his presence a steady anchor in the storm. As they prepared for the battles to come, the elf made a decision. "I don't want to be just a burden to you," she said. "Teach me to fight." He hesitated, knowing the path of power was one fraught with pain. But her determination left no room for argument. Together they trained, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. But just as they began to find hope, a new threat emerged, one far greater than any they had faced before. A shadow from the archdemon's past returned, bringing with it the promise of chaos and destruction. Would their fragile bond be enough to overcome the trials ahead? Or would the weight of their pasts crush them both? One thing was certain, their journey was far from over.